Hey guys, AndCap24 here, coming back with another video. Today we're going to look at something a little bit different than I've been doing with my series. This is going to be the groundwork of a formation scheme that I'm going to come up with for the gun Snugs formation at the Denver Broncos playbook. This can be used, these concepts I'm about to teach you can be used on any compressed set like a gun snugs flip, gun tight flex, those type things where there's 4 receivers in a compressed set in the middle of the field. And what I'm teaching you today is how to determine coverages pre-snap and how to determine coverages post-snap when we show different looks. And I want to go ahead and show you today. This video itself is about pre-snap reads against one thing that a defense can do, and I'll get into that in a second so you guys understand what I'm talking about. All right, so what I'm going to do here is call a defense. I'm just going to call cover 4, and that's not really important right now. I'm just going to pick the gun snugs and just kind of show you what I'm talking about and explain it as I go. All right. So there are different stages of things in which a defender can do prior to the snap. The first thing is do nothing. Okay, that's what this video is going to be about right now. I'll come back with different videos of showing you different ways of determining what the coverages are pre-snap and post-snap depending on what they do. Now, this is a do-nothing video. And what I mean by do-nothing is they're not base aligning, they're not pressing, they're not base aligning and pressing. They're just calling the play and running it out of the box. Okay, so against Snugs, I'm going to show you all the ways that your defense will react if they don't do any adjustments. Okay, but let me show you what the adjustments are because it's important to know how to read if they did nothing or if they did adjustments. So let me go ahead and break that down first for you, and so when I go into different videos you understand that as well. Alright, do nothing against Snugs. The first thing you're going to see is that the DBs are inside the numbers, okay, when you're in the middle of the field. They are about 3 yards outside of the wide receivers as a maximum. Nothing more than 3 receivers outside. Now, the second thing they can do is then go ahead and base align. When they base align, you're going to see these DBs are going to go outside the numbers, and they're roughly 5 to 7 yards outside of the X and B receivers. So if you see that look, they did something. And what they did was they based a line. Okay, so I want to make sure you understand that. Now you can go ahead and you can base a line and you can press. And what they did is you're outside the numbers, and now they're on the line of scrimmage. This is a very popular method to do when you're setting up a blitz because everybody wants the defense to be in the same spots when they're doing their blitzes in order to make them work. So I want to make sure you understand against a compressed set, these guys are going to be outside the numbers on the line if they base aligned and press. It's important to know what your opponent did in order to know how the defense will react. Okay, so that's basically those two. Another thing they can do, and I want to see if I can reset this play here. And reset it again. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get it back to its original state, because once you do some different things, it's hard to get back to where you need to be without doing a bunch of buttons here. So let's go ahead and pick the same cover 4 I showed you before. Let's go ahead and pick the gun snugs. Alright, so this is what it is. Like I said, they did nothing. The next thing they did, I've already showed you, when you baseline, they go to the outside. When they baseline the press, they go to the outside and down. If they just press, these guys will come towards the line of scrimmage, and they're going to be on your players. If they call a defense where it's like a cover 2 press or a cover 2 man, where they normally are going to be in a press situation, they will not come to the players on this gun snugs unless they go ahead and press the press button command. I want to make sure you're aware of that. So if these guys are on there, it's because they pressed them manually. Okay? Understand that. Okay, so that's basically the stages in which they can do. Do nothing, they can base align, they can base align and press, or they can just press. Alright, so now that you know that, we're going to go ahead and look at a do nothing video for our first video of a determining coverages series here. Okay, and this is just against gun snugs, and I think it's very important so you know this, that because I'm coming out with a formation video of this to be my first formation scheme, you need to know this as groundwork. So I'm going to go ahead and just pick a normal play. It's not a big deal what I pick, just what it is. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when you get to the line of scrimmage, you want to find out what stage they're in. And I've already told you we're going to be in the do nothing stage. And the reason why you can determine that, DBs are inside the numbers. Real simple. First read. Are the DBs inside the numbers? Yes. All right. Let's go ahead and it's a do nothing video. It's probably a better way of saying it. It's not inside the numbers. They're less than 3 or 5 yards away from the DBs. Because if I put this guy, if I put this, my bad. If I put this, let me get out of this real quick here. If I put the ball on the left hash, what you're going to see is that the DB will be outside the numbers. And I don't want to make it say like, oh, the guy's outside the numbers. What I'm saying basically is, if from the middle of the field, the players will be inside the numbers. Better determination is how far wide are they from the outside receivers, which are going to be your B and your X receivers. As long as they're not more than 5 yards wide, they did nothing. Okay? I want to make sure you know that from the start. Okay? So, how do we determine what coverage they're in when they do nothing? Let's go with cover 4, and that's what we're going to start off with because cover 4 is what I have up. Cover 4 is a 2 deep safety shell. All right? It's got 2 DBs on the outsides that are about 2 to 3 yards wide of your outside receivers and about 7 yards deep. That's the biggest thing you need to know. Now, you can go ahead when you base a line, you can turn a cover 3 into a 2 safety deep look, but you can't if you don't base a line. Right here on a standard cover 4, cover 3, cover 2, this is what I'm teaching you of how to determine that. So on a standard cover 4, there will be 2 deep safeties. All right, so that's the first thing here. I'm going to look at this and say 2 deep safeties. They're not outside the line, so basically did nothing. First thing I want to look at is how many safeties do they have deep? It's 2. My trigger in my mind now is it cover 4? Is it cover 2? Is it cover 2 man? Or is it cover 2 sink? Those are the only things that can be. Okay. Now I'm looking at the depth of the outside receivers, and now they're at 7 yards. That knocks out everything else except for cover 4. Understand, this is on base coverages. Okay, so now that I know it's cover 4, I go ahead and I do my cover 4 beaters based upon what the defense is showing me. Next thing, let's go ahead and show you cover 3. And cover 3 here is going to show you that a couple things you want to know right off the bat. One, it's a high safety. Okay, one high safety. You're going to notice between cover 3 and cover 4, the DB depth on the outside did not change. It's still at that 7 yards. It's still in the same spot. Right? So here's cover 4. Watch, nobody's going to move. I keep on getting the wrong controllers here. Cover 4, nobody's going to move when it comes to the DBs. It's the same depth. Cover 3, however, they will. Another thing you can know on cover 4, the nickel back will be on the right side. On cover 3, the nickel back will be on the left side when you're dealing with nickel coverages. Understand that, make a note of that. That will help you if you're counting players of where they are. Okay? So this is cover 3. Same thing. One single high safety, and you're going to see the 2 DBs are 3 yards outside of the outside receivers at the 7-yard depth. This is going to scream cover 3. Okay? Now let's go to cover 2. Cover 2 is going to have your same 2 deep safeties. However, your 2 outside DBs are going to be at the 3-yard mark outside the wide receivers, but yet at the 5-yard depth. Okay? So they're 5 yards away from the line of scrimmage, 3 yards away from your outside receivers. Very important. Okay? When I go ahead and I switch this to cover 2 man, watch where the DBs go on cover 2 man. They're going to go from the 3-yard outside depth to 1 yard outside depth. See how they pinch in? That is very, very important to understand. Is it cover 3? Is it cover 2 or cover 2 man? The allotment between the outside of them is a really big difference. Now look, if you see again, I'm going to go back from cover 2 man, cover 2. Cover 2, that's how the DBs are. Cover 2 man, they go inside. So, again, I'm going to kind of break this down. I know this is going to be repetitive. First thing you should look at when you're reading a coverage, how wide are my DBs? My DBs are not more than 5 yards wide of my outside receivers, then it's a do-nothing coverage. Next thing I'm going to look at is how many safeties I've got. If the safeties are at the 1, you're looking at cover 1, you're looking at cover 3. If they're 2 safeties, you're looking at cover 4, you're looking at cover 2 man, cover 2 sink coverages. Okay? Also used to cover 6 is going to be 2 deep safeties as well. We'll get to cover 6 in a minute. So after you see what the 2 safeties are, now you're looking at the outside cornerbacks on what depth they are. If it's 2 safeties at 7 yards, it's going to be cover 4. 2 safeties and then the cornerbacks are at 5 yards, it's going to be either cover 2 man or cover 2 press, or cover 2 sink. Then you're looking at how far wide are they from the wide receivers. If they're 3 yards wide of the outside wide receivers, that's going to show you cover 2. If they're 1 to 2 yards inside, like they are now shown, it's going to be cover 2 man. All right, so that's the biggest things that you want to do when you look at pre-snap. All right, so now let me go ahead and show you cover 1, and I'll get into a couple cover 2 situations that I want to make sure that you understand how to determine those as well. So here's cover 1. Cover 1's going to look very much like, let's go ahead and show you here, where we're at. Cover 1 hole. It's going to show very much like cover 3 will, with one big difference. All right. See how now what I said, first thing you got to do, look at the high safety. There's 1. So in your mind, it should be cover 3 or cover 1. The reason why we know they didn't do anything to it is because those DBs are not 5 yards or wider from the outside receivers. Now, the difference between cover 2 man and cover 2 was the depth of, not the depth, the width of the cornerbacks on the outside. On cover 3, they're still at the 7 yards they are against cover 1. Same thing. But when we changed from cover 2, which was a zone, to cover 2 man, you would notice that the DBs got closer to the outside receivers. Same thing happens when determining cover 3 between cover 1. The outside cornerbacks are now 1 yard away from the outside receivers as far as how wide they line up on the side of the field. So that's cover 1. Now watch, when I call audible to cover 3, they're going to go 2 yards more to the outsides. See how they go outside like that? In order to determine that it's cover 3. Again, cover 3, the nickel back will be on the left-hand side. On cover 1, the nickel back usually will line up on the right-hand side. Another determining factor of where they line up can give you that. But the depth of the cornerbacks are a little bit better, and the width of them is a little bit better understanding, especially against a compressed set like Snugs. All right? So now I've broken down cover 4, cover 3, cover 2, and cover 1. Let's go ahead and show you cover 6, and then we'll get into the cover 2s and determining how to do that. So cover 6 is basically a perfect combination of cover 2 and cover 4. That's where it gets its name. It has cover 4 on one side, cover 2 on the other, and adding those two together gives you cover 6. So if you just look to the right-hand side of the field, and you remember how the determination of breaking things down are, on the right-hand side of the field, it's screaming cover 2. Why is it? The DBs are not more than 5 yards from the outside of the wide receivers, so you know they didn't do anything as far as base aligning. You see that they're at the 5-yard depth, at the 3-yard width of that outside receiver. That means cover 2 with a 2 high safety look. However, you look to the left-hand side, you see that it looks like a cover 4 because it's at the 7-yard depth mark, that outside DB, plus you have 2 high safeties. That's going to show you cover 6. The biggest thing you want to look at when you look, and this kind of looks like a cover 2 real quick, cover 4, but you're going to notice that when you're checking alignment, you want to see, does that DB on the left-hand side and the DB on the right-hand side level themselves up? This is an easy way of showing it to you because the one on the right-hand side is on the 5-yard mark, and there's actually a line. The other one's at the 7-yard mark. The other thing you can know is that look at the way they square their shoulders up. The DB on the right-hand side is going to be more facing the line of scrimmage, where the other one is going to be facing more the quarterback or where the ball is. See on the left-hand side how the guy's shoulders are different than the guy on the right-hand side? That's an easy determination if it's cover 4. They'll line up like the guy on the left. Cover 2 lines up like the guy on the right. 2 different indications. I want to make sure that you see the little details that make you understand which coverage it is. All right. So let's go ahead and show you the difference between cover 2 press, and cover 2 sink. This is going to be the most difficult one here. I'm going to go ahead and show you right away that cover 2 press looks exactly the same cover 2 does. I just picked it and want to make sure that you see that they do not automatically press just because they're called cover 2 press. They're in the same exact alignment, right? Same exact alignment as they were before. They are at the 5-yard depth. They're at the 3-yard width outside of the things. They're not pressed like they should be. If they were going to be pressed, you would have to press them yourselves. Okay? That means they did something. This is a do nothing video. Okay? So they press that, then we'd have to do different determinations, and that's a different video altogether. But this is what we're looking at right now, the do nothing video, and literally that is something they had to do, so you won't see that. So don't worry about cover 2 press or cover 2. It's the same exact look that you're going to get. The trickier one is the one I'm going to show you right now, and that's cover 2 sink. And the reason why that's the trickiest one out of them all is that it shows you, if you look on the bottom here, it shows you cover 2 look, but it's a combination of man and zone. And we want to be able to know what they're going to show us to if it's in a situation where you really need to know on a 3rd down mark. Right now, you're going to see cover 2 look. It screams cover 2 look. It's got 2 guys deep. It's got 2 guys at the 5-yard mark. They're both got their shoulders squared towards the line of scrimmage. It shows you cover 2. However, if you're looking at it, it's actually a combination of cover 2 and cover 2 man with the 2 outside guys, right? So you got man coverage there. If I was to attack cover 2, and see, I see this, an easy route combination for me would be I would move this B receiver to the outside, put him on, say, a fade, put the A on a streak, and put the X on another fade. Just do a verticals look, and maybe I put the Y on it under. And against cover 2, and I'll show you against cover 2 right now, if I was going to attack that, you're going to see that this type of formation is going to get the A receiver open due to the fact that you're going to be able to hit that seam route in order to make it work. So I'm going to show you that really, really quickly here. And you're going to be able to hit that guy in the middle for cover 2. It's the way you spread out the field. But against a cover 2 sink look, you're not going to be able to have that same success on something like that due to the fact that you're going to and I kind of showed this a little bit differently here. You're going to say you go ahead and put this guy on that there, and you're attacking that one with the B receiver. What you're going to see is that you have a man coverage on that slot guy. It's a totally different look if you don't read the coverage correctly. So we're going to go ahead and say, how do we read this coverage correctly? All right, so we're going to go ahead and reset the play. And this is important when you're literally making the difference between let me get this guy, everybody in the right spots here. The difference between knowing what you're going against on 3rd down and not knowing. If it's not 3rd down, you can always make a read to the open receiver and do it. But if you're doing a specific route combination to beat a coverage that you're expecting, you need to know what the expectations are. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and just reset this whole play just so you can start it from the beginning so I can show you exactly what you need to do to determine is it cover 2 sink or is it cover 2 man. Here's cover 2 sink I'm picking right now, and go ahead and call a Snugs and go against. Alright. So here's how you can tell the difference. And it's going to take some motion. It's going to take some different things to show, but this is what these videos are for, is how you can go ahead and tell. And that's what the videos in the future are going to be, how you're going to be able to tell. Because knowing is knowledge, right? Knowing is power, I guess is the best way to put it. All right, so here we go. On cover 2 sink, you motion this B receiver from right to left. I'm picking up the wrong control here. Right to left. What you're going to see is when you do that, follow what the DB on the right-hand side is going to do. He's going to move from right to left, and he's going to align over the X receiver, and you see the one guy to the right of him in the yellow, he's going to stay where he's at. Okay? So knowing that, when you motion him from right to left, that guy is going to go over the X receiver, and the middle linebacker is not going to move, you're going to be able to know that's cover 2 sink. And that guy on the B receiver is actually to the outside. So I know that I'm going to go ahead at this point and I'm going to put the B on a slant, and I'm going to attack that guy knowing he's already on the far outside of him, and I'm going to do an easy play here because you know it's man coverage right there. Didn't have the right combination there. I would have blocked my running back. Let me show you that again here. So against cover 2, what I would do is I put this guy over. You know it's cover 2 sink because that guy comes over, but it's not where it's where he aligns. He aligns to the X receiver. I'll put the RB on a block and do it that way, right? So now you're attacking that man. He's on a man route. Now you got an easy throw, knowing that you basically set it up knowing what that player was going to do. And that's kind of what you wanted to make sure that you knew. Now, let me show to you what works on cover 2 now, how it works in cover 2. And now I'm going to cover 2. It's no man coverage. I'm going to do the same thing because you can't determine, is this cover 2 or cover 2 sink? When I move him over, this guy is now going to line up on the Y, and that guy in the middle is now going to the middle of the field. See how he now goes to the middle of the field. So in cover 2, this is what ends up happening. And the reason for that, in cover 2, the middle linebacker has that middle thing. So when you move that guy over to the left-hand side, they adjust their zones accordingly to cover the whole field. That's what happened there. So when you move them over, now you have that determination that the middle linebacker is in the middle. That one guy who moved over is going to be over the Y. Now you know it's cover 2, not cover 2 sink. And you can go ahead and attack this differently. You know, instead of doing that way, maybe we just put the Y on a streak, the B on a flat. And now we're going to attack that X receiver to the left-hand side, knowing that it's cover 2, rather than he would have been on man coverage. And that's how you go and determine how to beat coverages and know what you want when they do nothing, guys. I showed you cover 4, cover 3, cover 2 sink, cover 2 press, cover 1, and cover 6 through this video. This is going to be, like I said, a base knowledge for knowing how to determine snugs when I get into the formation schemes. This way you can know prior to the snap, when they do nothing, what coverage you're going to be facing. Alright, thanks guys, and Cap24 with this video. If you like this, please let me know. Definitely go do the next breakdowns on what they do against base alignment and base alignment press, and different things how we can determine post-snap and pre-snap what you're looking for against the same coverages. So hit that like, hit that subscribe, tell a friend. Appreciate it, guys.